Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am just Mike. You are watching and you are listening to episode number 13 of the Rock On Wild Show. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell to get all your videos on your feed, to make sure you get notified of every upload and every episode of the Rock On Wild Show. You can also like this episode. You can share this episode with your family, friends, coworkers, whoever you talk to, and spread the word of the Rock Out Wild Show. This is episode 13, and as you see the title of this video, I am going to rank all Undertaker WrestleMania matches from worst to best, completely subjective. This is my list. You don't have to take my word for it. But it's something I would really like to share because we are really, really close to 1 month away from WrestleMania 41. And from here on out, there's going to be some wrestling, more specifically, WrestleMania content coming your way on the Rock Out Wild Show. I am your host, Just Mike. And let's get started. On the docket, we're going to do On This Day in wrestling, music, film, and television. And we're going to react to a movie review, and that would be the kickoff of this episode. So, and I have a little bit of light left. Yes, the clocks have changed this past weekend. So I managed to get just a little bit of light in. I want just a little bit of light in for this episode. So right now I'm going to react to a movie review, an old movie review of mine called Deliver Us from Evil. This is a horror film that I don't remember at all. So I'm going to get a refresher as I react to this, and let's see how it all goes down. So I am going to open this up. And let's share screen this joint. Why do I keep hitting settings? Share screen. All right. Let's react to a movie review of mine called Deliver Us from Evil. I'm going to turn up the volume a bit, and let's react to this thing in 3, 2, 1, go.
All movie fans in the movieverse, welcome to the Mike McRock Movie Review YouTube.
I think I might have skipped like a little second of it.
Hey, what is up, all movie fans in the movieverse? Welcome to the Mike McRock Movie Review YouTube channel, and right now I'm going to give you my review for
Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side.
Deliver Us from Evil.
I actually put in that music.
So, Deliver Us from Evil is inspired by the actual events.
I swear I did not anticipate that intro. I totally forgot about that. That was genius.
Of an NYPD sergeant by the name of Ralph Sarchi, and what he has to go through is that he has to find out and investigate what's going on, why people are going crazy and off the rocker, pretty much. And basically what happened was that these people are possessed by this unknown demon or whatever it is, and they have to find out what's going on. And he's being teamed up with a priest, and I'll get to him as well. And what I like is that there's also a little buddy cop element. His partner, played by Joe McHale, who's absolutely badass in this movie, and the star of the show is played by Eric Bana. He was solid throughout the entire movie. He was really, really good
actor
as the main character, and he could carry a good horror movie instead of the usual Ethan Hawke.
Right.
The guy that plays the priest, his name is Edgar Ramirez. And what I like about his acting was that it came off really cheesy and he was overacting, but in a really good cheesy way that kind of fitted the overall atmosphere of the horror movie itself. And it's one of those horror movies where, yes, you've seen it all before. This horror movie really didn't do anything new. Uh, a lot of cliche moments. Of course, the lights go out, the flashlights flicker, the star of the show doesn't believe in the paranormal, all this stuff. Throw on all these cliche moments. It's a cliche fest. And not only that, a lot of jump scares happen. Oh, holy Christ! The
Jump
amount of jump
scares.
scares in the 30 minutes of the movie alone was absolutely, oh my God, horrendous. And the funny thing was that
It's one of those.
this movie
One of
could actually
those.
get away from doing a lot of jump scares because usually less is more when it comes to that aspect of
Yeah.
horror movies. But with this one could actually get away from doing a whole lot. And the funny thing was that the more the jump scares in this movie, the more entertaining it was. But in the same time, nothing scary at all happened. I wasn't really scared overall with this movie, but there were jump scares coming out left, right, and center. Jump scares with cats, jump scares with dogs, jump
Yeah.
scares with lions, a lot of animal jump scares, and in the occasional "da," that kind of moment. So there were a lot of things. It's just one of those movies where it's an hour and 50 something minutes long, and the director probably thought to himself that, okay, how many jump scares can I throw into 1 hour and 20-minute movie? That's probably what he was probably thinking in that moment. But overall, like I said, even though this was a predictable horror movie with a lot of jump scare, non-scary elements to it, it actually done it quite well. It was kind of very underrated in a sense where this movie probably won't get a lot of credit when it comes to horror films that have been coming out these days, like Paranormal Activity, The Devil Inside, etc., etc. So, with that being said, uh, to me, like I said, this was actually a really decent horror movie. I'm going to give this one 66 points out of 100. And a lot of one of the main reasons why I'm going to give this a really good rating is because there was one moment where they're doing this exorcism and the guy stands up, and then you hear the sound effects coming in, but then it breaks into
Break on through to the other side. Break on through.
exactly. So I really
I
that
love it.
was the one thing that was really different with this movie, that is that they used the doors as an underlying theme. So the props to a little bit of originality, even though there were not a lot of original aspects. So like I said, 66 out of 100. If you saw this movie, feel
So
free to comment below and tell me what did you think of it. And also you can hit that subscribe button down below this video to get McRocked.
I swear, if that was one more six, that would have been something completely different. Oh my god. So yeah, that was my reaction to an old movie review of mine called Deliver Us from Evil. 66 out of 100. That's like a decent movie. I don't remember much at all with this film other than I completely forgot about the whole thing about break on through to the other side, about the doors of that song being involved in the film. I completely forgot about that. It's just one of those movies. It's just one of those movies that's just forgotten about over time. So, yeah, it was a good refresher to see um, a new, fresh take on that movie. And right now, after all of that, let's get into the meat of this episode. That is On This Day in Film and Television. So we're going to share screen once again. Actually, before I do, I'm going to stop my camera. Then I'm going to share screen and start looking at some stuff in film and television, music, and wrestling. You know, the usual stuff that you get on the Rock on Wall show. So, film and television history. What do we have for March 26th? We got Hanson's Third Symphony, 1938, NBC radio performance of Howard Hanson's Third Symphony. In 1953, Yugetsu, Japanese film directed by Kenji Mizugaki. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Starring, I'm not going to pronounce these names at all, but yeah, it says right here, it stars all these Japanese actors. This film has been released in 1953. Let's see. In 1958, 30th Academy Awards, The Bridge on the River Kwai wins Best Picture. Joanne Woodward and Alec Guinness win Best Actress and Best Actor, respectively. In 1964, Jewel Stein and Bob Merrill's musical Funny Girl, starring Barbra Streisand and Fanny Brice, opens at Winter Garden Theater in New York City, and it runs for 1,348 performances. In 1969, Marcus Welby, MD, starring Robert Young and James Brolin, debuts as a TV movie on ABC TV prior to becoming a weekly series. That's an interesting little fact right there. In 1970, musicals Minnie's Boys, starring Shelley Winters as the mother of the Marx Brothers, and Drama Desk Award winner Louis J. Stalden as Groucho, opens at the Imperial Theater, New York City, and it runs for 80 performances. In 1971, Cannon, starring William Conrad as a private detective, premiered on CBS TV and aired for 5 seasons. In 1973, TV soap opera The Young and Restless premieres on CBS, a show that became widely popular and still going to this very day. Here's a little bit of sports here. 1979, 41st NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Michigan State beats Indiana State 75-64. Marks the start of rivalry between future Hall of Famers Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, highest rated game in history of televised college basketball. In 1987, August Wilson's stage drama Fences, starring James Earl Jones, opens at the 46th Street Theater, New York City, runs for 525 performances, winning Pulitzer's Prize for Drama, 4 Tony Awards, and 3 Drama Desk Awards. In 1990, 62nd Academy Awards, Driving Miss Daisy, Daniel Day-Lewis, Jessica Taney win Best Actor and Actress, respectively. In 1990, Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa wins the Academy Award for Lifetime Achievements. In 1995, 15th Golden Raspberry Awards Color of Night wins. In 1999, Tom Snyder's final appearance as host of The Late Late Show on CBS after 777 episodes. In the year 2000, the 72nd Academy Awards, American Beauty, Kevin Spacey and Hilary Swank win. Yeah, that aged a little bit like sour milk right there. In 2005, Doctor Who returns to BBC TV after 16 years with the debut of Christopher Eccleston as Ninth Doctor and Billie Piper as Rose. In 2012, Canadian filmmaker James Cameron becomes the first person to visit Challenger Deep, the deepest point on Earth, in over 50 years. In 2018, The Black Panther becomes the highest grossing superhero film in America, earning $630.9 million. Wow. And in 2022, British rock band Genesis performs final concert of farewell tour at O2 Arena in London, England. So that's pretty much everything on the go for March 26th in the world of film, television, and a little bit of sports as well. Let's see what's going on in the world of music for March 26th for the biggest music headlines. NWA member and Ruthless Records founder Eazy-E passes away. On this day in March 26, 1995, 31-year-old rapper Eazy-E, who rose to fame as a member of the genre-defining West Coast group NWA, died of complications from AIDS in Los Angeles. Born Eric Wright in Compton, E established the iconic hip-hop label Ruthless Records in 1986, and a year later co-founded NWA, a highly influential group whose debut album, 1988, Straight Outta Compton, established the blueprint for gangster rap. He released 2 solo albums, including the posthumous Straight Off the Streets of Motherfucking Compton. And that's how it's spelled. MUTHAPHUKKIN. Motherfucking. I guess that's how you spell it, how you pronounce it. Let's see what else is going on in music. Let's try not to get a little bit sidetracked over a single word here. In 1983, Duran Duran made their debut at the top of UK singles chart with "Is There Something I Should Know?" The Birmingham new romantic group would top the UK charts again a year later with The Reflex. In 2019, Ranking Ranger and founding member of the British groups The English Beat and General Public, passed away at the age of 56. Roger was famous for his Jamaican style toasting, a form of rapping which graced the records of both bands. He also recorded with Special Beats, an offshoot of the ska bands The Specials, The Clash, and The Police. In 1996, Canadian star Shania Twain enjoyed her first U.S. #1 with her second album, The Woman in Me, rose to the top of the Billboard Country chart. The album went on to sell 20 million copies around the world. In 1977, Hall & Oates scored their first of 6 U.S. #1s with Rich Girl, taken from their 1976 album Bigger Than the Both of Us. It spent 3 weeks at the top and was ranked the 23rd biggest hit of 1977 by Billboard. In 2004, Jan Berry, one half of the famous West Coast surf duo Jan and Dean, passed away at the age of 62. The pair met at high school and recorded as Jan and Arnie in 1958 before becoming Jan and Dean a year later. Between 1959 and 1976, they placed 27 singles on the U.S. charts, including 1963's Surf City, their only #1. And we'll have a look at some birthdays that happened on March 26th. We got in 1917, Rufus Thomas, Diana Ross in 1944, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith with his birth year in 1948. In 1950, Teddy Pendergrass. In 1968, James Ah from the Smashing Pumpkins. I think that's how you pronounce it. I-A-H. Let me know if I'm wrong. In 1968, Kenny Chesney. And in 1981, Jay Sean. And that's pretty much everything that happened on this day in music. Now let's look at some stuff that happened on this day, March 26th, in wrestling. So we got in 1991 at a WWF Superstars of Wrestling TV show tapings in Las Vegas, Earthquake kayfabe squash Damien the pet python of Jake the Snake Roberts. Wallace Roberts was tied up in the ropes during a scheduled TV match between the two, which resulted in no contest. When the match aired on TV, footage of Earthquake landing on Damien was edited out of the broadcast, with cutaways to the syndicated show's event center, hosted then by Sean Mooney. In reality, there were two bags at ringside which were switched, and the bag which Earthquake landed on contained stockings stuffed with hamburger meat and a small mortar to simulate a live snake in the bag. Write that one down. In 2001, on the Go Home Show edition of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania, Vince McMahon revealed on a live simulcast with WCW Monday Nitro from Panama City in Florida that he had purchased WCW and announced that he had bought the competition. During the simulcast, Vince McMahon's son and upcoming WrestleMania opponent Shane McMahon announced on the historic broadcast that he was the new kayfabe owner of World Championship Wrestling. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin and then WWF champion The Rock defeated the Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker and Kane, in the main event. In 2001, on the final edition of WCW Monday Nitro, which tagged as Night of Champions, Booker T defeated Scott Steiner for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Also, Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio defeated Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo for the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. Sting defeated Ric Flair by submission on the final match of WCW Nitro, which brought the historic Monday Night Wars to a conclusion. In the year 2002, Raven defeated Maven for the WWF Hardcore title at WWF SmackDown taping in Philadelphia. In 2007, March 26th, on the Go Home Show edition of WWE Raw ahead of WrestleMania 13 from Chicago, XIII. I'm probably reading that wrong, but I'll actually start this one over. On the Go Home edition of WWE Raw ahead of WrestleMania XIII from Chicago, Batista and The Undertaker defeated John Cena and Shawn Michaels in the main event. Mr. McMahon pinned Bobby Lashley in a no disqualification match after outside interference from Umaga. In 2010, Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins, retained the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title against Austin Aries at ROH from the Ashes. In 2017, at Progress Chapter 46, I like to chill here and shoot some dinosaurs at the Electric Ballroom in London. Pete Dunne retained the Progress title in the main event against Mark Andrews. Also on the card, Matt Riddle retained the Progress Atlas title against Walter. Trent Seven and Tyler Bate retained the Progress Tag Team titles against Jim and Lee Hunter. And Jimmy Havoc pinned Will Ospreay in a loser leaves Progress fans bring the weapons match. In 2019, Charlotte Flair defeated Asuka for the WWE SmackDown Women's title on SmackDown Live from Uncasville, Connecticut. On the same show, Big E and Xavier Woods won Kofi Kingston a WWE title shot against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35 by competing in a tag team gauntlet match, defeating Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan on the final match on the show to secure the victory and set Kofi Mania in motion. In 2020, the second day of WrestleMania XXX VI tapings took place at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. And it has a list of matches that were on the card right there. We got Charlotte Flair defeating Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's title. Aleister Black pinning Bobby Lashley. Otis defeated Dolph Ziggler. Edge defeated Randy Orton in a last man standing match. This was Edge's first WrestleMania match in 9 years. And it was a bit of a disappointment, I thought, anyway. WrestleMania host Rob Gronkowski pinned Mojo Rawley for the 24/7 title. The Street Profits retained the Raw Tag Team titles against Austin Theory and Angel Garza. Bayley retained the SmackDown Women's title in a fatal 5-way elimination match against Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, defeated John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match. This was the second of 2 highly praised cinematic matches to feature due to creative decisions made as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Drew McIntyre defeated Brock Lesnar to win his first WWE title. And Drew McIntyre retained the WWE title against The Big Show in a dark match that aired on the following night episode of Raw. And also in 2020, Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears defeated Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin in the main event of the AEW Dynamite taping from Norcross, Georgia. And in 2021, on an episode of SmackDown, Daniel O'Brien was added to the Universal title match at WrestleMania between Edge and Roman Reigns. And we got some notable wrestling birthdays on March 26th in the wrestling world. In 1983, Mike Mondo, Sylvain Grenier, that was born in 1977, and Octagon in 1961. And that's everything for On This Day in Wrestling. Now let's get to the main event. That is my take and my list of all Undertaker matches ranked. Every single match that he has competed in WrestleMania ranked from worst to best. And again, this is just my list. This is just my take. Completely subjective. And when it comes to WrestleMania in general, the one wrestler that keeps coming to my mind is The Undertaker. To me, he is the true Mr. WrestleMania with 27 matches with a 25-2 record, 25 wins, 2 losses. So when it comes to WrestleMania, odds are one of the first people I think of, one of the first wrestlers I think of is The Undertaker. With that said, here is my new and improved updated list ranking of all Undertaker's WrestleMania matches from worst to the very best. In last place at number 27, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. And you pretty much know the reason why. It is because Vince McMahon could not help himself and said, "Oh, Undertaker, we're going to have Brock Lesnar win." I'm like, what? If I'm Undertaker in that position, I go, what? Why? Heck no, we ain't doing it. I will boycott the match. I will not do the match if it's my last dying breath. And that's the reason. Man. And here's the thing. When I was doing the review for this, my friend Clint said this match wasn't intense enough for the streak to be broken, and he was completely right. This match was even before the finish, before we even got to the finish of Brock Lesnar actually beating The Undertaker and shocking the hell out of everybody, the match leading up to it just wasn't that good at all. It was sloppy and it was just a mess. It was a disaster. Speaking of sloppy and mess disasters, coming in at number 26 on this list, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. Like I said, this was a slop fest. This was a botchy mess. Even The Undertaker himself looked back on this match and thought, what a terrible match this was. Sure, it was the right match to close off WrestleMania 33, but for one thing, you didn't have the streak anymore. So Roman Reigns beating The Undertaker here just didn't feel as impactful as it could have been if The Undertaker held on to the streak, which he should have. Come on, people. Coming in at number 25 on this list, Undertaker versus Johnny Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. Here's the big problem with this match. Johnny Gonzalez just could not move at all. He's stiff in the ring, just couldn't move, just couldn't budge him. And you do this weird, wishy-washy booking decision by the end of it where The Undertaker doesn't get the pinfall or submission. He wins, but it's by disqualification, and he comes back and starts beating up on Johnny Gonzalez again. The whole thing with the chloroform, I couldn't have done without it. Yeah, this was a weird, not so good match that ultimately really canned the bed. Coming in at number 24 on this list, The Undertaker versus Big Show and A-Train at WrestleMania 19. Here's the funny thing. I actually recently watched WrestleMania 19 not too long ago, and to me, this really was all about Nathan Jones and the whole thing with that happened on Sunday Night Heat backstage where Big Show and A-Train took out Nathan Jones, and he comes back later on just for this. What the heck was this? Again, it's all about Nathan Jones, and you couldn't have done better for The Undertaker. At no point was the streak even a threat, and this could have been just a one-on-one, really. It could have been just Undertaker and the Big Show. Leave A-Train out of this. Coming in at number 23 on this list is Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 11. Undertaker at the time was feuding with Ted DiBiase and his stooges, and one of them just so happened to be King Kong Bundy. And this match was not really eventful, nothing inspiring about it, very forgettable. Undertaker wins via clothesline. The only really good thing is that Undertaker body slammed King Kong Bundy, but that's about it. Coming in at number 22 on this list, Undertaker versus Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15 inside the Hell in the Cell. This was a whatever, blasé, forgettable match. The only thing you really remember was at the end of it, where you get Edge, Christian Gangrel coming down from the rafters onto the Hell in the Cell. They come in with a rope, and they have and Undertaker hangs Big Boss Man off the cage. That's the only thing you really remember to write home about that match. Otherwise, the fans booed the heck out of this match, and that's what really killed it. Coming in at number 21 is Undertaker versus Psycho Sid for the world title at WrestleMania 13. And the reason why I have this at this position is because there's a rumor, I don't know if this is true or not, that Psycho Sid crapped his pants during this match. That would have been funny if that was true. Who knows? But yeah, again, it's two big men, it's two larger-than-life characters, and this was an okay match. Of course, you get Psycho Sid and his antics versus Undertaker and his greatness. It just made for a little bit of an interesting match, to say the very least. Coming in at number 20, how appropriate is this? It happened at WrestleMania 20. Undertaker versus Kane. And to me, this match did not live up to its predecessor, that was WrestleMania 14, which I'll get to later on in this list. I don't know what the heck happened here. I watched this recently, and the chemistry just seemed a bit off. The match didn't go all that long, and nothing between Undertaker and Kane was clicking or jiving at all. Something just didn't seem right. This would have been better if Undertaker just came out, done his entrance, and squashed Kane. That's all you needed to do. You didn't have to do what you needed to do with this match at all. Coming in at number 19 on this list is Undertaker versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 32 inside the Hell in the Cell. This is at a point where, again, you don't have the streak anymore, so it doesn't matter. And why are you have Shane coming in and losing one match, and that's pretty much all you need to know. But this was a decent match, despite whether who didn't win or didn't lose. Um, yeah, this was actually a not bad match. You know, the one thing you remember about it is that you got the big spot where Shane McMahon, he's on top of the Hell in the Cell, and he dives off of it and breaks the announce table with the Undertaker involved in it. So that's pretty much all you need to know when it comes to that match. Solid match, but again, nothing special. Coming in at number 18 is Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. This match would have been better if you had the aesthetics at the nighttime instead of the daylight. You get the whole Bray Wyatt entrance and the Undertaker entrance that it just didn't look right at all visually because it was light out. This should have been a nighttime thing. This should have came on later on in the show just for the visual aspect alone. And again, like the previous match I was talking about, you don't have the streak here at all. So if Bray Wyatt won this, it just wouldn't matter. It really wouldn't. And same thing with the Undertaker. If he won, it wouldn't matter. But this is a match where the Undertaker didn't win, and again, it's a weird lose-lose situation for everybody involved. Coming in at number 17 on this list is Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania 34. This pretty much felt like a jobber squash match, an enhancement, not even an enhancement match, but just a jobber squash, where you get Undertaker come out and just do a couple of moves on John Cena, and then leave after that. Tombstone, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Bob's your uncle. This was actually a really good way to do it, though, because you didn't really know Undertaker's health at all. If he went on to do a straight up 20-minute match, it could have been a disaster, but you didn't really know. So, in a way, they kind of played it safe here, and I'm kind of glad they did. And the result was a win-win situation for everybody involved. Coming in at number 16 on this list, Undertaker versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka at WrestleMania 7. This was Undertaker's very first WrestleMania match and his very first WrestleMania opponent. This is a match that felt like an enhancement match where you want to showcase your new talent coming up and the old guard starting to fade out. And this match delivered on that aspect of bringing the new ones in. Coming in at number 15 on this list, Undertaker versus Mark Henry at WrestleMania 22 in a casket match. I mean, the one thing you really remember this match for is when Undertaker dove out of the ring, went over the casket, and landed on Mark Henry. That's the one big takeaway I got out of this match. Again, it's a solid match, but again, his streak, there's no threat to it at all. You knew he was going to win, but it was a solid match still. Coming in at number 14 on this list, Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts at WrestleMania 8. This was Undertaker's second WrestleMania. And I thought both guys done a decent job here. Jake the Snake at this time was going away for a good long while. Again, and you have Undertaker. He's pretty much getting that babyface reaction here. And this is a part of Jake the Snake's genius. Jake the Snake went from being babyface to heel in this match, and Undertaker went from heel to face. It was like one of those first double turn type of scenarios here. The one that did it before Austin and Brett at 13, in my opinion. Coming in at number 13 on this list is Undertaker versus Diesel for the world title at WrestleMania 12. This was a solid big man's match and one of the best matches on the WrestleMania 12 card. Coming in at number 12 on this list, Undertaker versus Ric Flair in a no disqualification match at WrestleMania 18. This was actually a little bit of a different match for Ric Flair because we're so used to seeing the same type of Ric Flair match over and over and over. With Ric Flair in this match, he was able to do things he wouldn't normally do in your typical Ric Flair match. So this felt nice and refreshing. This was a pretty damn good match. It has brutal aspects to it. And you get that cameo with Art Anderson coming in with the spine buster on Undertaker. What an absolute incredible moment. And this turned out to be a really, really fun match. Coming in at number 11 on this list, Undertaker versus Edge for the world title at WrestleMania 24. Probably one of the most underrated main events when it comes to WrestleMania. Edge at the time was world champion, and Undertaker was coming in as the challenger, the winner of the Royal Rumble, and Undertaker wins this match here. Coming in at number 10, it is Undertaker versus Triple H in a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 27, and probably one of the only good couple of matches that happened on this show, where you have Triple H after the match, he's able to walk out, but Undertaker, after he wins the match, he's off in a stretcher. I love the way they play this in terms of the dynamics of the finish. Coming in at number 9 on this list is Undertaker versus Triple H at WrestleMania 17. This was an absolute fun match. I like that both of them went out in the crowd most often. So the fans really got to interact with Undertaker and Triple H here. And this was at a time where Undertaker was still doing his biker gimmick, so you knew the end was coming in a couple of years' time. And I think this is roughly around the time, again, where they start to acknowledge Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Coming in at number 8 on this list is Undertaker versus Batista for the world title at WrestleMania 23. This was easily the best match at WrestleMania 23. And again, another solid big man's type of match where you got two big stars in the ring colliding for the world title. Coming in at number 7 on this list is Undertaker versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21. This was a match where you kind of felt like, oh, maybe Randy Orton does pose a threat to Undertaker's streak here. It's a possibility. You never really know. But again, it's Undertaker. It's WrestleMania. You know he's going to win. But I like the way that they played this match out. This was a pretty damn good match. Number 6 on this list, Undertaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 29. Really no need to go any further. This was a great match. It's CM Punk, it's Undertaker, it's WrestleMania 29, and also the best match on that show as well. Coming in at number 5 on this list, Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 14. I absolutely love the build up to this match. They played it off as the Kane and Abel brother versus brother. You get the whole thing with Paul Bearer. Your brother is alive, Undertaker. You get that whole thing. Love the storytelling and the build up to this match. And the match itself, it took 3 tombstones to defeat Kane. They made Kane look like a legit monster in this match. It's a win-win for everyone involved. Number 4 on this list is Undertaker versus Triple H at WrestleMania 28. Inside the Hell in the Cell with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. It's the end of an era. This was an absolute brutal match. This was an absolute fun match. And I love the inner turmoil with Shawn Michaels battling his inner demons, trying to figure out whose side is he really on. But we all know, and we get that awesome near fall with the sweet chin music followed by the pedigree. that really left you hanging on the edge of your seat, and what a tremendous match this was. Number 3 on this list, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26. This was the streak versus career match. That was a really damn good match. Number 2 on this list, Undertaker versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36, the Boneyard match, the cinematic match. I absolutely love this match. And the reason why this match still holds up and is all the way up at number 2 is because this aged like fine wine. Undertaker has not wrestled since then, since WrestleMania 36, in all those years. So I'm glad he hasn't. That's why this match holds up to this very day. And obviously, my number one favorite Undertaker match in WrestleMania history is the match he did with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. To me, this is the single greatest match, not only in WrestleMania history, but in WWE history as well. You can make the argument for a couple of matches, sure, but to me, this one takes the cake. This is the standard. And that is episode 13 of the Rock on Wild show. And I'm going to end this off with a quote. Let me just pull this up. And it goes a little something like this: You deserve to be surrounded by respect and kindness at all times. Remember that your worth is not determined by how others treat you. Stand tall and set boundaries to protect your peace and well being. Embrace your strength and value, and don't hesitate to walk away from anyone who doesn't honor your dignity. You are deserving of love, respect, and understanding in all your interactions. Trust in your worth and never settle for anything less than the respect you deserve. This has been episode 13 of the Rock on Wild Show. I am your host, Just Mike. And on a final note, to all of you watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.